Now, Theresa May has promised that EU citizens living in the UK will be allowed to stay after Brexit. Devil's in the detail, of course, because all this coming exactly a year after the historic Brexit vote.
We've now reached the point where Sky News is in a position to call this election. And Sky News is projecting that the UK has voted out. The UK electorate has taken the historic decision to withdraw.
So that's how it was all delivered by Adam Bolton a year ago. We're joined by political analyst Maria Chen. Good to see you this morning. We finally get some detail, don't we? A year in, we're getting this detail now, what's likely to happen with EU citizens in the UK and British citizens elsewhere. We're getting some groundwork laid down, but it still seems to be a total muddle, politically and legally, 1 year after that vote.
I think the last year has certainly thrown up more questions than it has answers. There's still a great deal of uncertainty and a lack of clarity around these issues.
And so how do we cut through all the mess and the gobbledygook of the red tape and start to make some clear decisions, or at least as members of the public have some clear ideas as to what the options are on the table?
Well, we started to see at least what the shape of the process will be like. We know that negotiators from both sides will be meeting 1 week out of the month, and we know that on this key issue of the parallel talks, which is to say the discussion on the Irish border, and on citizens' reciprocal rights, and on the divorce bill, we know that those things will need to be discussed before any discussion on the trading arrangement between the two polities.
But how far have we come in a year? I'm thinking sort of historically, socially and literally. I mean, are we in the position now where we've heard from Donald Tusk today saying that, you know, imagine there was no Brexit. Are people still in denial, the remaining 27? Well, I suppose Tusk has mentioned and has quoted John Lennon in saying that you know, he's a dreamer and may not be the only one. But straight away after his pronouncement, we saw the Belgian Prime Minister say, "I am not a dreamer and I'm not the only one." So it does seem like people feel as if, European leaders feel as if, you know, they do want to respect the British referendum and are looking at the pragmatic details and how they will sort those out.
But we are left in a very strange position. It's not just what EU leaders are saying, but what a lot of people say in the UK, the 48, as they sort of tag themselves on Twitter and what have you. Do we have to reassess what Euroscepticism and being a Europhile means in the UK now? Because it was perhaps something that people thought about vaguely in the past, but now it is a real dividing line in this country.
No, it absolutely is. So, I mean, I think it all behooves us to be a little bit wary of polls, given the US election and then in the UK referendum, but they are still the best source that we have for public opinion data. And YouGov polls at least seem to suggest that people who have voted Leave continue to think that that was the right decision, and people who voted Remain continue to think that that was the right decision too. But this does suggest that if these two positions become really entrenched, if these become the new dividing lines and political attachments in the country, that could have really interesting ramifications, because these particular attachments seem to be divided among new lines. So rather than along lines of class, they seem to be along lines of whether people are living in metropolitan versus non-metropolitan areas, and also age. That's been a big factor.